Welcome to the DefSec 2023 podcast, sponsored by our good friends at Cisco. I'm Alan Dale. With me, as always, my good buddy Jerry Carew. We are Gale Force Winds. Kevin, why don't you go ahead and reintroduce yourself and tell us what Calian's been up to.
All right, so again, Kevin Snayer. So I run our cybersecurity government solutions business and our mission security business inside of Calian. So that's everything from putting in cybersecurity right up to making sure that digital equipment that has emanations that are leaked off, that we can intercept that electrical signal, raster it, and replay it, whether it's a video screen or a printer or a scanner, and everything in between. We're doing some drone mitigation work now that we weren't doing before, so we can now, in real time, we pre-hack into drones. We partner with a company called Defend, and so you're flying a drone into an area, we intercept that RF signal, and we can take over that drone and land it safely, whether that's into a chained off area, depending on the environment, or out in the theater. We do some different stuff once we get intercepted those drones.
Many would know Calian as an HR company.
Yes.
How does Calian transition into that line of work?
So transition or add on.
Or add on.
We're in an entity where whether we're a staffing company or a technology company, we're very happy in that middle place. So we still have a very successful staffing business and like say HR kind of stuff where we're every base in Canada, all the doctors, dentists, psychologists, right, are Calian employees. We have about 100 and some odd people doing cybersecurity roles within the federal government. But then through some acquisitions, we're starting to get into technology and some solutions, and hopefully sort of spreading our wings to see that we can be both an HR company and a solutions company. But that's mostly done through acquisitions, and then we take those acquisitions and try to organically grow them once we've got them onboarded.
Cyber, huge part of the conversation. Everybody's talking cyber. Maybe a little misunderstood in a lot of circles. Give us some tips, or maybe even bust some myths around cyber.
Sure, absolutely. And again, somebody earlier when they introduced me, they said, "This is our cyber dude." We don't know how else to call him because it's involved in so much. So you're right. That one of the challenges with cyber touches absolutely everything, right? Whether it's an IoT device, everything's interconnected nowadays. Your phones, your Amazon Alexas, everything is listening to what you're saying. Like I often get people say, "Kevin, should I be using Facebook? Is that a risky thing?" You know what? There's 1,000 other things that are equally as risk. So yeah, maybe Facebook, but maybe all these other applications. You either got to take the red pill or the blue pill, right? You got to accept that all my data is connected and people are looking at it, or go hide in a cave somewhere. Now, from what we're starting to see some requirements, and again, especially around the defense industry, is cyber training. So we do, at Calian, we do a lot of exercises, kinetic exercises, so emergency preparedness training. We help the military get trained for theater. We correlate the missions between jets and boats, and we're now bolting on cybersecurity into those exercises. So where we can sort of simulate that there's a cyber attack going on a communications network that's supposed to make sure everything's coordinated. Now, how do we fix that problem before the rest of the exercise can happen? And we're seeing, and again, the war in Ukraine, we're seeing it happen a lot, where the cyber part of it is a bigger part sometimes than the actual kinetic exercise, right? Wow. All these countries, NATO, we've all got to communicate amongst countries. A soldier goes down, maybe it's not the Canadian emergency team that's going to go rescue them because it's a joint exercise, and so we need to communicate amongst multiple branches, amongst multiple countries, and that network is now at risk, right, of being intercepted, because now you can hear, we're going to get this soldier there, and now we know where somebody's going to be. We talked about the drone mitigation stuff. That's, again, there's an RF signal, and now we can, just as much as we can triangulate that data to find out where the person flying the drone is, so can the enemy, right? So there's another cyber risk. Just we're using drones to visualize a battlefield, but it's just as much easier to triangulate and coordinate back to where we are in that mission.
Kevin, with your knowledge of cybersecurity, do you sleep well at night?
I've accepted. I've taken the blue pill, and you really do gotta say, if I've touched the internet with something, that data is now, I have to live under the knowledge that data is out there for somebody to use. Usually when I get invited to parties, nobody else at the party can sleep well for the next few nights. but there is, again, it's a risk and mitigation, right? So I figure that even in my own personal network, I've done enough to mitigate the risk as much as possible. and then there's some acceptance of the risk that's out there. So it's a challenging balance.
Staying on that tip thing, so you say you even in your home network, you've done what you can to mitigate the risk. That's an interesting question. What can people do to mitigate the risk at home?
You know, the biggest part is making the rest of my family, or and most families, they don't have a cyber expert on staff at home.
The team.
Yeah, the team, right? It's just awareness, being very careful, where you're going on the internet, being aware that when clicking stuff, does this look legitimate? Am I expecting this email? Banking information, like no bank is going to send you an email to say, hey, we need your credentials because we accidentally put a certain amount of money into your account wrongly. Like it's just never going to happen. So it's just really trying to raise awareness that you just always got to have your spidey senses up that something is aware. And it's sad that you got to have that mentality, but my kids are afraid to click, right? That's the point where we need to get them at. There's some talk around, you'll see commercials of VPNs, like these, can I use a personal VPN? Really now you've just pushed all your trust of all your data to one person. But they have all the access to all your data. Like a company VPN is okay because now you control that VPN. Some of these, again, I don't want to identify certain companies, but some of these VPNs make it look like, all your data is safe, it's encrypted from here point. Yes, it is. But it goes through their office unencrypted. So who owns that? And a little bit of research, you'll find that there's countries that we don't get along with that are the ones that own a lot of those custom VPN solutions. So
Kevin, you bring up you mentioned there in passing about cyber training. Is Calian providing that training?
Yes. So. And I want to differentiate. There's cyber awareness training that your users of an organization, be careful, don't click here. This website looks a little bit off. But there's another level of training that we're talking about. This is the actual people that are protecting your environment. So we offer a training. We partner with a company called Field Effects, and this is to offer a training for your actual security teams. Or we can do exercises upon this platform where we can simulate a forward operating base in the military infrastructure and then run an attack on it, and then the defense, the cyber teams in these militaries can try to, recover from an incident response that we've put on there or stop these attacks from happening. And then we raise that into bolting it onto, we'll do a nuclear exercise where we'll simulate an emergency at a nuclear plant, but part of that can be triggered by bolted on cybersecurity awareness training for cybersecurity training for your security team. So we can do a cyber attack, take down the power grid to a nuclear plant, for example, and then the nuclear team has now that training on how to deal with the cyber part of it before they even have to worry about there's a leak or a protest going on or something else happening as part of these exercises.
Kevin, what are you guys hoping to get out of DefSec here?
Just stuff like this, just to raise awareness, talk about what we're doing, right? It's been, a colleague here, Jordan, and I are just walking here, and all of a sudden we stopped and talked to, as I mentioned, we talked to Mark, and he's bringing somebody, and then all of a sudden that conversation leads to another conversation, and it's just connecting dots, right? There's a lot of really cool stuff going on, and in Canada, I believe we need to be a little bit more collaborative amongst each other. There's not one organization that can handle everything from the defense industry, from cyber to shipbuilding. We need to get a little bit more collaboration, so that's a big part of my goal today, is just around meet people, find dots that can be connected, and build a made in Canada some sort of story on how to protect our military.
Kevin, people will listen to this, they'll hear this conversation, and they're going to say, I need some of that in my organization.
Yes, sir.
How do they get you?
I guess, are you going to put my email address
We're
up?
gonna put it right there.
So I point like this right there, email me, and that is, sometimes it's just reach out. Like we are literally, that's part of my role in the company. People were reaching out, and it'll happen in reverse as well. I'm going to be reaching out to some organizations. We have a bunch of meetings this week, and it's funny, we may be collaborating on some business, we're competing on other business, but that's just the way we need to do this in this industry in Canada right now, is we need to have that good competition and collaboration and trying to find a good balance between the two.
Calian is an incredible company. There's no doubt about it. They're doing great work supporting the country in general. Thanks very much for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for what you guys are doing here. Thank you.